Welcome to another episode of Let's Parley, where we encourage you to bet on yourself and pursue all that life has in store for you. I am your host, Monty Taylor, and without further ado, let's parlay. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in yet again. Appreciate you taking your time to listen to your boy here. Whether you're driving, whether you're on YouTube or some other digital airway, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen. I want to honor that. I want to honor God with this time. And without further ado, let's just dive right into it because I feel like this is going to be one of those episodes where it might be something you have to play on repeat just to understand the purpose behind things. So the question that I want to really address is, why did I even do this? Why is it even important for you to pursue your missions, for you to bet on yourself? Why should you even decide to make such a crazy, risky decision? So, of course, I don't know if you guys have been following along or for how long you've been following along, but I always like to start off every episode with a funny story, with something that I think can break the ice and something that's a little bit more relatable so that it's not so serious all the time. Okay. We can be funny, we can have jokes, we can kid. Okay. But yeah, for me, I think I wanted to share when I moved to Austin for the first time. And a lot of you have probably had this feeling whenever you move to a new city where you're GPS and everything. I mean, you don't know where the hell you're going. You don't know whether to make a left or a right, north, south, east, west. You're all over the place. All right. And that was me, just like any new person to a city. And what I realized was after some time, the places that I would get familiar going to, I wouldn't need the GPS to go there anymore because the path was already set in stone. I had been there multiple times physically and also mentally in order for me to understand, like, okay, I know what turns I have to make. I know which way I'm going. There's even some times where I have gone somewhere and been on a route, and this is usually somewhere where you're more familiar, but I've gone somewhere and said, hey, I'm like going to the grocery store. But then you're in your head, like while you're driving, thinking about something else, and you just start going on autopilot, right? And you start driving to a destination that you're more familiar with than the one that you're going to. And then you wind up going and making a wrong turn and being like, oh, damn, like I just realized that I had to go to the grocery store. Like I'm not on my way home right now. And I wanted to share that because I feel like that's what a lot of us struggle with when it comes to finding out why we should make such a risk or take such a risk on ourselves, is that we don't have a clear destination in mind and we don't really have a purpose behind it. A lot of times I feel like I've talked to people and they've been kind of in the process of just following a GPS, and you're just sort of on autopilot when it comes to life. You go to work, you're done by Friday, you're excited because you finally get to do what you want to do on the weekends. And then the weekend is over before you know it. And then you just go back into that same cycle. And whether it's something that you are not so interested in or something that you're good at, but you're still not passionate about, there's still going to be that looming feeling inside wondering, like, all right, like, where am I actually going with this? Like, where am I going to land here? A lot of like people in their early 20s probably struggle with this because it's so easy for us to just go along and try to figure out life as we go. We don't really have an extreme level of confidence in whatever that end destination is. So the journey is going to help you throughout that time, but it sometimes feels like you're following a GPS and you don't really know where it's going. So I want to talk to you about why it's important to set your own GPS for your life and what that can allow you to feel as you're going along the journey. So instead of just being on autopilot and making turns that you just know you have to make, what if you decided, like, no, I have to be intentional with this. I have to do and then go in a different direction that others aren't going in because I'm not going to that destination that they're going to. I'm going to a different one. I'm setting out my own path. So that's what I want to start out by talking. That's what I want to start with talking with. That's what I want to start talking about today. My God. It's a little bit early in the morning. Usually I'm pretty sharp in the morning, but hey, I'm trying. This is This is this is as raw as it gets right here. Okay, so y'all just follow along with me. Uh, so yeah, so the first thing that I want to say is, just to kind of start us off, is sometimes in life we make big moves, literally and figuratively, and later wonder, why did I even do that? But the truth is, every step, even the confusing ones, serve a purpose. So I want to talk about a couple of things and a couple of major points that I feel like could really drive this home. So a lot of the times you may feel like, all right, I know I'm not good where I'm currently at, and it's time to make a change, but I'm kind of comfortable where I'm at too. What I want to do is I want to address the main reason why you may be comfortable where you're at right now, but all the potential and the new frontier that can come as a result of you betting on yourself. So the first thing is going to be that search for fulfillment, right? A lot of the times, like, you have that rumbling feeling about your current situation because you don't feel fulfilled going into that line of work or going into whatever that commitment is. And that's going to eat at you for a while. Like, if it's something that you're meant to do, you're going to feel that rumbling in your stomach. You're going to feel that butterfly feeling or that anxiety. It's just going to continue on in life because there's going to be something inside of you telling you, like, ah, man, I could have done, or I could be doing, or I could do in the future X, Y, and Z thing that I'm way more passionate about. And I'm just not in alignment with where I am right now. Or whatever I should say, or whatever that thing is that you're working towards is not in alignment with where you're at right now and what you're doing. So searching for that fulfillment is going to be an important thing. So we all love to have an internal compass, but all too often, I should say, we ignore it. And I think that that is a very dangerous thing to do. I think this is a large reason why so many people are anxious and are depressed, is because there is an internal compass telling them something that they are rejecting, essentially. And it's something that can go on for a pretty long time and can lead to restful nights, or restless nights, I should say, and times where you're really struggling to be okay in your own skin because of that. So something I want you to really think about. Um, the other thing I want to kind of hint at here, or the other thing that I want to cover, is searching for external happiness seems to be a big thing that's very important nowadays, whether it be, the idea of keeping up with the Joneses or saving face or presenting yourself as somebody who is happy and who is fulfilled and who is doing all that they set out to do. But again, it's all about that inner game. Like, I remember for me personally, I remember going into the University of Delaware, and I chose mechanical engineering. One, because obviously, engineers were in popular or high demand at that point and still are. But especially at that time, I remember, I believe it was President Obama who was talking about the need for STEM majors and how there was a lack of diversity within the engineering field. And I remember looking at the statistics, and it was so rare that you would find black engineers graduating from, larger institutions, or just in general, like, black engineers were hard to come by. And I remember looking at the University of Delaware and seeing the statistics about how many black engineers graduated from there, specifically mechanical engineers. And that was like a negative motivation for me, if that makes sense, because it almost felt like, all right, well, they're saying that it's highly unlikely that I could make it through here. So therefore, I'm going to choose that major because I want to prove them wrong. I want to show something external that I am worthy, that I am valuable. And to me, looking back, of course, hindsight is 2020. But going through it, I was like, man, like, I was very motivated to prove to people that, one, I could make it through mechanical engineering, but two, that I could be a great engineer. And no matter what my skin color, no matter what I look like, I can get it done. And it was something that I felt like was a reoccurring theme in my life. When people told me I couldn't do something, I always felt obligated to prove them wrong. The dangerous part about that, folks, is that when you go through that line of thinking, it'll last for so long. And when you reach the destination, you're essentially empty. And that's what happened to me personally. I graduated with my degree, and I had kind of realized before I graduated that I was like, I've had 2 to 3 internships. these internships ain't getting any better. And I'm not enjoying this any more than I did the year before. However, I'm too far in now. I've built up this student loan debt. I got my mom paying out of pocket to make sure that I'm in school and graduating. So it didn't feel like there was an opportunity to turn back, especially when you get into your junior year. Any mechanical engineering majors or any engineering majors, once you get to your junior year, I mean, you can't you turning back at that point, bruh. Like that's a tough thing to do. So anyway, I went on through with it, and when I started working and was fully engaged in that career, there was just that feeling where I was like, all right, I'm doing this, but who do I have to prove wrong now? Like it didn't really feel like I was all that obsessed with this external validation anymore. So the point that I'm trying to get home here is that be careful doing things because you're trying to prove somebody wrong or because you're trying to make someone else happy. Anything external to how you're feeling and how curious you are about your life, it's a dangerous game to play. It's something that will eventually run out of gas, and you're going to be stuck on the side of the road wondering, like, why did I drive this far going in this direction when I could have been home already? Again, back to the GPS analogy. But anyway, the main thing that I wanted to bring home there is just don't search for external validation. And of course, as I always like to do, I always like to bring faith into it. God, the universe, whatever you believe in, it'll keep nudging you towards your purpose. Okay, whether you listen to it or not. So you might as well be in tune with it and explore a little bit more of that curiosity. Explore that voice in your head that keeps telling you, like, oh man, what if this? What if that? Because it ain't gonna go away until you figure out whatever that thing is that it's telling you about. So something that I want you to kind of focus on as we go throughout this. The other thing that I think is super important is your contribution to the world. Um, you know, Not fulfilling your purpose, it could feel like a very selfless thing because you're like, oh, well, if I were to do that, then I can continue to be in comfort and, live my comfortable life and be safe, right? And stable. And that will help more people around me. When I believe in the complete opposite, I actually think that whatever your situation is right now that is comfortable, that doesn't require you to take any risk and doesn't require you to put yourself out there, explore your passions, explore your skills, your talents, that very thing that's keeping you there is keeping you within a certain box of impact because you're not utilizing these things that weren't gifted to other people. You didn't take your experiences, or you're not taking your experiences and applying them to a line of work that can help people overcome the same experiences that you went through. That's the main thing that's being missed there. So as much as it may feel like, oh, like I'm holding it down, I'm everything's stable, whatever have you, the potential of the impact that you can have when you finally decide to do something you actually want to do is immense. It's unlimited. That's what we call human capital, because whatever you were born into this world with and whatever skills that you've acquired over this time and the experiences that you have, that unique mixture right there, that fingerprint that you have, your gauge cycle, it's all unique to you. So whatever you do that's not in alignment with something that's unique to you, it's only going to have a certain capacity for impact, versus the thing that's unique to you, the passion that you have, the capacity for that is unlimited. There's no telling what you could do and what sort of impact that you can have when it comes to your contribution to the world. And when you think about society as a whole, I just find that there's way too many people who are just doing the wrong things. Like, solely because they chose a major when they were 18 years old and wet behind the ears, had no idea what was going on in life, but it was just like, I got to do this because my guidance counselor says I got to pick something. I got to go into this college with some sort of degree. And at such a young age, we have this pressure to decide what we're going to do for the rest of our natural born lives. And that to me is outright crazy. But anywho, getting back to the topic at hand, we want to make sure that you are focusing on the value you could bring to society, whether it be to your local community, to your city, to your state, to your country, to your world. there's so much more that could be done if you were to be doing the thing that you were called to do, as opposed to just doing something that you feel comfortable with. So you're robbing us of that talent. You're robbing us of that experience. Think about it. Think about it. I don't mean to be hard on you. A little humor could help somebody, but at the same time, I'm trying to be real. You're robbing us of your gifts. We need to explore those and we need to see those. All right. The next thing, of course, is the impact beyond you. And I think of this more as, when it comes to your family and when it comes to the people who you don't even realize look up to you. Like, I remember when I went on to Big Brother, and I have cousins and family who I remember afterwards were just looking at me as if like, oh my God, Monty's on TV. And they're little, so they don't really, understand too much about the show itself, but they just saw me on a screen, you know? So for them, it's just like, wait, but I watch like other people on screens, and I've seen this man in person, and now he's on the screen, and now he's back visiting us as family. And it's just like you start to realize that, you have not only people of the next generation who are looking up to you, but you also have the generations previous to you looking forward to seeing, what's actually possible. They grew up in a certain perspective. They grew up in a certain world that had however many limitations that they believe were set upon them. When you go out there and you decide to do what you want to do for your life, it all of a sudden changes the game for your family line. It changes the game for everybody who is within your, not only your community, but really when it comes to your family. Because they're going to look at you and be like, yo, I share the same blood as this dude or this girl. I share the same DNA. Like, we came from the same family. So if he was able to do it, then what's going to stop me from being able to do it? And to me, that was another big reason why I decided to go out and take that risk on myself, was because I was like, yo, like I could really inspire some people in my family to break generational curses. It could be, for you, it might just be like handling finances better, right? Like budgeting. You may have not grown up with anybody, with your parents talking to you about budget and finances, how to deal with that. uh that could be a thing that you decide, like, all right, now I want to hone in and break that generational curse. I don't want to be broke anymore. I want to be the change um that I want for my family. I want to be that example. That could be your thing. It could also be when it comes to relationships, right? Which also requires risk. All right. You got the risk of getting your heart broken whenever you step into love with somebody. All right. At the end of the day, you are looking to be an example of what a healthy relationship looks like to your family or to your community. That's what's at stake when taking that risk. Same thing when it comes to your career and anything professional. When you take that risk on yourself, when you make that bet, the impact is so much more than it is just on you. It's on people who look up to you without you even realizing it. And trust and believe, no matter who you are, there is somebody that looks up to you, or there's somebody from a previous generation who is excited to see what you do in life. Because maybe they raised you, maybe they saw you grow up, but they're like, wow, there's just so much potential. I wonder that they're curious. It might even bring them a little drama in their lives just to see, like, oh, what is Monty up next? What is he up to next? What is he finna do? All right, that could be your story. That could be your situation, and you're robbing people of that opportunity. Okay, so I hope I'm driving that home. All right. So be excited to start something new. Be excited to be the first in your family to do something, because with being the first comes a lot of responsibility. But with that responsibility, Peter Parker, or not Peter Parker, who's Peter Parker's granddad? Or Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben from Spider-Man said it best: with great responsibility, with great power comes great responsibility, actually. Yeah. Uncle Ben said, with great power comes great responsibility. Like, with great responsibility comes great power. But either way you flip it, the two are attached, okay? Because once you're responsible, that means you do have power over some situation or someone's perspective. And that comes with a lot of responsibility because you are going to largely impact that. So think about that a little bit. Take some time to reflect upon that. As always, I like to just make sure that, I leave you with some things to do for yourself. Think about. So the first thing that I want you to do is just reflect. All right, write down one decision you questioned and list what it's taught you so far. All right, because no matter what it is, if you are on your path to where you were supposed to go, and even if you weren't, it taught you more about your path. It taught you more about your story. A lot of the times we miss out on the opportunity to look at our lives as the story that it actually is. We think of ourselves as just one of many in a humanity cog of the world, and that's it's just not true. But the thing is, whatever you believe is what's going to be true. So if you believe that, then yes, you will just be another person in the system. But if you believe that the things have been presented to you, and there's been reasons why things have been presented to you throughout this entire time, then that's what's your reality. And that's what's going to be presented to you in life. And now you will evaluate everything that comes in as purposeful, as opposed to, oh, it's just a coincidence, or, oh, this thing is coming after me. Nah, nah, life is for you. It ain't happening to you. Like, it's time to switch that perspective. So just reflect on something that's happened in the past and think about what it's taught you. Step number two, just maybe identify something that excites you. What's something that keeps calling you back? Because that might be that inner voice that you're ignoring right now that's just going to keep coming back, keep coming back, keep coming back. When I was working as an engineer, I just kept hearing a voice that's like, yo, you're going to quit your job one day. You're going to pursue entrepreneurship. It's going to happen. Something's going to shake. And then lo and behold, the opportunity presented itself. I always encourage you to take one step, right? Even if it's something small, maybe it's reaching out to somebody who is in the line of work that you're interested in, or who has made similar decisions to the one that you're about to make when it comes to making that big leap for yourself. And then the other thing that I want you to do is more of a mindset shift, is trust the process. Your path is unfolding exactly how it should. Let me say that one more time. Your path is unfolding exactly how it should. There ain't no mistakes, y'all. Ain't no mistakes. God didn't mess up. Not one bit. You got 10 fingers, you got 10 toes, 2 hands, 2 eyes. I mean, there's a lot of people who aren't blessed with that. And it's something that we take for granted because, we've just had it ever since. So we don't know anything different. But a little bit of a perspective shift will help you understand that you have the things that you have for a reason. So use them. It's time to make a change. It's time to get up off your behind and stop being scared. Stop being scary. Okay? And go out there and make a bet on yourself. Every move you make is part of a bigger story. So just keep trusting and keep growing. As always, I encourage you to, DM me, comment on this post or on this video with any sort of, revelations maybe that you had during this podcast, or anything that you feel like is noteworthy to add. I'd love to hear the feedback. I'd love to hear more from you folks. So feel free to share. But that is all that I have for now. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Let's Parlay. I hope you've been inspired to bet on yourself and pursue all that life has in store for you. God bless and have a great rest of your day.